Hello, it's me. It's the boy with no fucking screen. There we go. How we doing, everybody? We're in Silverstone. We're here in Great Britain. We're in Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Gone right into it because I was a little bit late starting that. Short qualifying means we've got a one-session run, 18 minutes for 15 drivers to go around and set their times, and then a 26-lap race. I am absolutely thrilled to be joined with a co-commentator today, someone who I've known for an embarrassing long time. I've got Liam joining me. Hello, Liam.
Hello, how are we?
There we A strong delay there. Yeah, I was just explaining, this is your first time commentating with us. It's short qualifying, so it's 18-minute session. 15 drivers, all will run around and set their time, and whatever we have at the end is the starting order for the race. We don't know what the weather's going to be like, because as commentators, but I'm going to guess if it's Britain, it's going to be raining somewhere. But I'm excited to see how the drivers get around on Silverstone. And that is absolutely torrential rain in Silverstone. I wonder now, I'm going to chuck the tyres on. They're all on the inters. Given how heavy that rain is coming down, I would posit that drivers are going to have to go out really soon before it starts potentially turning into wets. What I'm curious about, how the intermediates work in the game, obviously, is you run around the track, and as the drivers go around on the intermediate tyre, you start to see the groove start to appear. But if the rain comes down too heavy, then you're going to need the wet tyre. So what's going to be the preferable tyre? Is it a case of going out straight away? Is it going to dry up? In the UK, probably not. But I'm excited to see how this gets on. The Alpine driver is going to be the first to come out. I'm trying to think...
I'm going to guess a lot of people are going to go with bankers on the inters first to see how they fare up before setting any final laps, especially with it being short qualifying. Obviously, the time is going to be very, very critical.
Mr. CD is the first to come out. They're all sitting on the inters at the moment. I'm just going to drop the detail off there as we see I think there's the Mercedes coming out at the moment. Tesco and Kev looked very strong in qualifying in the Mercedes at the moment. Lucalis, obviously, Rob in with a chance as well. Fatboy Sim not joining us for the moment. We've also got two reserve drivers joining us today. Casper in the Ferrari, making his second race start with us, debuting for Fatboy Sim in the Ferrari. And also K-Pax, who is a long-standing member of this league, is joining us in the McLaren as Chiv is unavailable. So he's working with Lucalis. These two have been teammates before. So good to see K-Pax back. So we're staying on with Mr. CD. It's just the Alpine and the Mercedes out at the moment, which makes me wonder if the sun might be on the way. Drivers obviously know what the forecast is going to be for qualifying and for the race. So there might be a chance of some sun coming in, or drivers are just waiting for other ones to sort of clean up the track a little bit. I'm really fascinated to see how they navigate through Maggots and Beckett's, but as we do, as tradition here, the first qualifying out, the first person to set a lap will go on board with. Invalidates will be a big thing here, Lee. Very easy to run wide in Silverstone, or clip too much of a curb and invalidate your lap. We've seen a couple of drivers actually lose their laps. Lucalis, obviously, twice, 2 races in a row. So,
yes, it's going to be a very interesting session, especially with Silverstone on a lot of the fast corners. And doing that in a wet, you're going to struggle a lot to be able to do that.
Well, we are going to watch Mr. CD start around. Sorry to cut you off there, Lee, but we are going to watch Mr. CD as he rounds the final corner to start his first banker flying lap. T1 here is usually flat. However, I suspect it might be just a little bit of a lift. Depends how brave Mr. CD is. The car snapping there as the camera has to move to catch him as he fights with the car. As he goes down into T3. Very acute corner here. You want to get all the way over. You can see him fighting the rear there as he navigates his way to the first of what would be the DRS zones. He's got some traffic ahead of him, and the Mercedes behind will be getting a lovely bit of a tow. Drivers here, I'm expecting, as there's a step from the Alpine, to fuel up quite a lot, to do a lot of runs on the inters. So we're going to go down into Brooklands here. Lovely camera angle. Is he going to be able to get onto the curb at all? That's a pretty decent line for Mr. CD. He needs to move the car all the way in the inside, trying to find any desperation of grip as the track is starting to get rubbered in. As he heads his way down to Cops, here. He's going to get a little bit of a micro toe from Casper in the Ferrari there. Cops is usually just a downshift. I expect it's going to be a double downshift, maybe even a dab of brakes. Big snap from the Alpine, as you can see. Oh, and Casper the Ferrari with a big moment. He's saved it, as we see Mr. CD goes through Maggots and Beckett's, a bit wide of the apex there, as he's just trying to find any grip at all on those intermediate tyres. But he's kept it all within the white lines. I believe he has anyway. He has indeed, with the Ferrari going very wide on the curve in his outlap there, getting out of the way of the Mercedes, going down into this corner here, which a name escapes me at the moment, but it is very easy to run wide here and a valid date, as he's got the Mercedes for company as he navigates his way down into the club chicane. Just a few more corners to go. Clip of the curb on the left, clip of the curb on the right, and run it to the line. Mr. Seedy is going to put out a time, but he's being pushed along by the Mercedes. It's a 1:40.8 from Mr. Seedy, and Tesco there with a 38.8 from Tesco. Well done to him. Kev will be the next cross line with a 40.1. Well, that was, I mean, you could see there, Lee. Look at how much they were fighting the car.
I gotta be honest with you, I was watching, I was on board with Kev through his entire lap, and he actually didn't really have any moments through it. It was very neat and tidy, very, very calm and collected. Obviously not as quick as Tesco's put in the 1:38.8, but he didn't seem to be struggling so much for grip. I think he was very reserved going through the lap, but he was very composed. I didn't see any form of moments. He wasn't fighting, he wasn't having any snaps, nothing. He was very clean lap from Kev, to be honest with you, for his first round on the Inters.
Well done for him there. Scarmo next across line with a 38.5 track improvement already coming in. Michelando will then start his lap. I'm going to check in on how Bosch is doing, who obviously missed last race from illness. I was just checking, Devereaux is also on a lap. I think the Mercedes will be running around again. While you were talking there, Casper and the Ferrari actually invalidated. He went wide in Sector 1, so he's going to have to go around again. Musty, a driver who put it P2 in the sprint last race, is currently out on a lap as well, so we'll check on how he is doing. A lot of yellow flags as drivers either getting out of the way or fighting the conditions. Let's see what Bosch can do in the kick as he crosses the line next, and it's a 1:39.1 over on Kev, so you are potentially right there, Lee. Kev being very careful in these conditions to just get a time down. Tesco improves to a 38.0. Brilliant lap from him.
Track conditions definitely getting better out there now. There's a dry line definitely forming through the lap.
Definitely see it start to come. Devereaux sets a 40.9. Also had the same issue as Mr. Seedy. We're on board here with Musty here. Where does he put it as he crosses the line? It is a 1:39.9 from him. So, I'm going to check in on...
Lap so far.
Who's that now?
Michelando is on a very decent looking lap at the moment. You can see the dry line through Sector 2 going into Sector 3.
Michelando there is, I think that might be Pace on the outlap behind him. It is not, that's Scarma, so Scarma might be getting a lovely toe there from Michelando. No, Scarma's invalidated, excuse me. So, Scarma's just gone into the pits there. So, we'll see what Michelando can do as he sets his time. I'm going to also keep an eye on Vibora in the Haas, who's currently out on his lap. I'm going to go on board with him here. Michelando to cross the line there with a 40.1. So, Kev actually improved to a 39.3 there as well. I think Bosch might... I can't remember if Bosch set that 39.1 if he improved to it. So, Kev getting up there as well. But Tesco is absolutely flying at the moment. Both Mercedes are looking very dangerous. And qualifying as Vibora goes a bit too greedy in Maggots and Beckett's. He will have to start again. Pace is the next one I'm going to go on board
invalidated.
with. Tesco
for you
has.
to be aware of. Baz, sorry.
Baz has invalidated. So K-Pax is also going to be starting his lap behind Pace. Big snap from the VCARB driver. Got a bit greedy on the curb there. So I'm going to see how Pace... I'm actually going to go on board with Pace here. I want to see what his onboard looks like as he has to navigate his way. The very clear dry line coming in here. The rain looks just that little bit lighter. But look how much Steve took, about 4 stabs at turning in there. The car's not quite cooperating. I'm just having to try to look at his little... wheel there. Tires still operating at about 70 degrees, so we're still in the intermediate temperature tire range. So I'm just going to see
at this moment I am on board with Rob on his outlap, and I think Mika is looking at giving him a tow onto Sector 3 onto the finishing line. Definitely as they swerve in the wet part of the track. So I'm going to stay on board with Rob through this lap. I'm wondering whether he can pull out something. I think especially with this dry line, and if he's definitely getting this toe from Mika, I think he's going to put it in at roughly the 139.38, quite possibly.
Well, you said that pace was so aggressive through Koch there, using all the curb and fighting the car all the way through it. He's looking very tidy through Maggotts and Beckett. There's a lot of time out there for drivers that are brave enough and can keep it within the lines. I don't know if we'll see dry tyre running at the end of this, but I think it's going to be a case of being one of the last drivers to cross the finish line is going to be absolutely key.
Absolutely, I think Luke has now gone on to his outlap.
Luke's always one to go out late. I'm curious to see K-Pax is behind pace, so I'm going to see where he puts it as I just keep on board with the VCARB driver here. Where can he put it as it's a bit too much curb there, and it's a 38.0. It's provisional pole as it stands. K-Pax puts a 39.2 in. Bosch there improves to a 38.9. Times are improving. I'm going to check on board with Lucalis here. Baz, Rob, and Vibora still yet to set lap times. As you can see in the bottom right of your corner.
Fantastic toe.
With the lack of DRS here, the toe is that much more powerful. So, 8
Mika
minutes
has
left.
been with him all the way around. I'm watching him at this moment as we speak. Mika is just keeping enough in front to be out of the way, but close enough to give him that little bit of toe on the straights. As he comes in sector 3 now. A 112.3 on sector 2.
I'm going to check in with Rob now as we have a look as well. Michelando doing God's work there for the Aston Martin, excuse me. So, pace set down the gauntlet. It's a 38.0 there along with Tesco. Michelando's actually going to finish this lap, so he could also improve on his time of a 140.0 as well. Baz, it's the first time on the board, the 141.2, but we're going to see if Michelando can improve his time. Michelando does not, and Rob only puts it P6, 39.2. The dirty air not doing him any favours. So, I'm going to check back in with Lucalis here, who's got a bit of traffic to deal with. It's the kick of Bosch and his teammate K-Pax there. Two drivers in front of him who would have felt a little bit of wash in Maggotts and Beckett's with. Just having a look if anyone else has improved on their time. Devereaux has improved to a 39.8 as well. Just having a look. I don't think Skarma improved on his time. Musty has not as well. So, we'll see how they go. Lucalis is one to watch here for pole. As potential for pole, Lucalis, he's got
a lot of curb through there.
He does. It takes a lot of curb. Lucalis will round the corner. Now it's 37.2, 8/10 on pace, and you can see how much quicker the track is getting. Vibora is going to be next to start running around at the moment. That was Kev improving to a 37.8. Vibora has actually invalidated, excuse me. Casper does set a time of a 39.4. So Casper is on the board. A couple of drivers still yet to set representative lap times, especially as the track improves. I'm going to see if I can find
now.
Skarma's running speed.
Tesco's knocked 2/10 off his sector 1 time so far.
Skarma there goes to a 36.2. Look how much quicker the track is going. And I tell you what, Lee, the rain is stopping. If it's stopping, it is very, very, very little. And I may have spoke too soon. Could we see a driver brave the soft tyres? That would be remarkable, wouldn't it? Rob is just running around again. Is he going to improve on his lap time at all? He does to a 38.1. So, Rob still needs some time.
Tesco invalidated in sector 2. He's abandoned.
Right, okay, right. So, we'll just have a look at who else is going around. Devereaux is still in the pit. So, Musty is on his outlet. Musty, again, we expect he could be right up there as well. Lucalis is still going around, so Lucalis could jump up there as well. The times are tumbling. The rain is still there, ever so slightly, but it is so much lighter than it used to be. So, Skarma on provisional pole as it stands.
Michelando's taken a 10th, nearly 2/10 up on his sector 1 time so far. I'm interested to see if he'll put it into the top 10 as we bring this session into the last 5 minutes. And he has, in fact, invalidated.
Oh, so easy to do. I'm just watching on Musty on board there. Just as soon as you touch the ever so slightest bit of the wet track on the inside, the car just spits you out. The difference in grip and tyre temperatures and track temperatures is so severe here. It's going to take a lot for a driver to be able to find the line and the rhythm that they need. While we were talking there, Lucalis improves up to a 37.2, K-Pax with a 37.8. Both McLarens doing very well, but it is very clear they're going to be the last driver to cross the line on some warm inters. You do not want to be on cold intermediates either. So Rob is still going around. I'm curious to see what he does. I'm staying on board with the Alpine of Musty at the moment as he navigates his way through Maggins and Beckers using a lot of curb. Very aggressive driver, Musty. I love seeing him on qualifying.
That's 136.3.
So Skarmo absolutely flying here. And what is his home Grand Prix? It's an England-Wales top 3. Now, can we see if any Welsh drivers can disrupt them? We'll have to see. Musty is going around. I'm just going to keep on board as he finishes his lap. At the moment, Mr. Seedy is out at the moment. Vibora is looking to set a representative lap time, as is Baz. So I think Baz was actually on the wet tyres when he set his time, if my tracker is correct. Musty goes up to a 36.9. So yes, drivers just keep on improving. Both McLarens in the pits, so they're going to slap on a fresh pair of soft tyres. Kev, let's check in on him. He's dumping his batteries, dumping whatever he's got left. He's P6 at the moment with a 37.8. Has he managed to find any improvement at all? Kev was P2 in the feature race last week out. It's a 36.0. It's provisional pole, and I expect to see a lot of names moving there. Mr. Seedy was up to P9 there, 38.3 from the Alpine driver.
That, Kev has put that time in with 7-lap-old inters as well.
7 laps old. But has he got enough time to pit in and put fresh intermediates on? So, I don't know how much time he has. I'm just having a look who that is going around the... That's going to be Baz starting his flying lap. Yes, it is. So Vibora is out on a lap now. We'll check in with the Haas driver. Still yet to set a time. Maybe leaving it the best till last. Baz is currently on a lap. Bosch is on a lap. Mr. Seedy has just finished his lap. Rob and Musty are still going around. Drivers who have fueled up and are going to keep going. Kev obviously is still going in those old tyres. Tyre wets. Oh, big snap for Vibora! Keeps it pointing in the right direction, but got on the wet, but you can see there, as he washed away, the karma spat him into the barrier. So he's still going. Tesco is out. One to watch for pole position. Lucalis is still in the pit, so we're going to see how he does as well. It's going to be between Lucalis... well, actually, it's pretty close to pole, isn't it?
He's on an absolute flyer at the minute. He's on 2 seconds up on his current time. Which, if he carries our on, is going to put him up into the top 4, if he can do it.
He does. It's a 36.3 from Bosch. Very well done there. So, I'm just going to keep on board with the Haas driver, see what he can do to set himself a lap time. We'll go on the TV cam, the TV pod for the last couple of corners. Casper's out at the moment. Devereaux is still in the pits, so Devereaux might not have time to go out again, but everybody else is out and on a lap. So Vibora, big step. It's P8. It's a 37.8 from the Haas driver. He'll have time to go again, potentially. I'm just going to see who is going around at the moment. That is Michelando at the moment. He's got enough fuel. He is saving up, though. Michelando is not using his battery. He wants to go... Oh, he's on an outlap, excuse me. Let's just have a look, see who else is going around. Musty is just starting his lap at the moment. Rob is out there as well. I think he might be letting drivers go. Tesco is obviously one to watch. Pace as well looked very strong, didn't he? Skarma, I think, is actually on a lap. Skarma in with a chance. I think it's going to be Luke, Kev, Rob, Skarma, and Tesco as well. I cannot write off either Mercedes driver. Kev, though, on those ancient intermediates. So, we'll see what he can do. Pace starts his lap. Just staying on board with Skarma now. 40 seconds left. So, who will be the last car to cross the line? We'll have to see. I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be one of those McLarens. They might be pushing it a bit to make it in time, but look at the bottom of your picture there, going through Sector 3. That McLaren, whether that's K-Pax or Lucalis, it's Lucalis is going to be one of the last drivers to cross the line. I'm very excited to see how that does.
Currently is 2/10 up on his time, so I expect a lot of improvements through the last... Oh, Kev's abandoned his lap into the pits. He invalidated.
So that's it. The Vibora will take the flag in a minute. So we'll see Skarma navigating his way past the Williams there. Devereaux is on his outlap. Devereaux's not going to take the flag. So Devereaux will start P13, P15 at best. Oh, that's a Haas. Right, as Skarma improves to a 35.5. Kev takes the flag. It's going to be P2 at best for Kev, as we see every other driver on the track now. So you can see who's taking the flag. Skarma on provisional pole. As it stands, Kev P2, Vibora P8.
2 seconds up.
Mr. C, Devereaux in P13, Baz there in P15 as well. Don't know what happened to the Haas driver. I'm keeping on board here with Mika Lando as he goes around. Can he put himself better than P14? Pace will be the next one to cross the line after this. We'll check in on him. Mika Lando rounds the final corner. It's P5 at best. 36.65. Pace now in the V-carb. Was temporarily on provisional pole. Where can he put it down? In P10 as it stands, it's provisional pole for Pace. 35.5 from him. K-Pax will be the next driver to cross the line, but Tesco is invalidated. Tesco will start P11 at best. Big surprise there. Rob, the next one to go. Tesco goes into the pits. We'll see where K-Pax can put it now. K-Pax puts it P6, 36.6 for the reserve driver. Rob puts it 35.2. He's now on provisional pole. I'm going to watch Lucalis as he goes through the final couple of corners. What can Lucalis do? As you see a couple of drivers. Bosch there in P5, 36.3. Great for him. Musty starts P8 and Lucalis P4. It's a 35.6. Rob is on pole position once again. Pace with a joint best P2, so close from the VCARB driver. It's a VCARB 2-3, and it's an Dutch England front three for the Silverstone Grand Prix. What a qualifying that was!
That was a fantastic qualifying, especially with the tricky weather conditions. How quickly that dry line developed through the 18-minute session was unbelievable.
Look at that. Wow, look at that. Bosch just in the chat there telling me you got a purple Sector 1 and then fucked it. Oh, that would have been remarkable. Bosch there, P6 it was in the end for Bosch, which is not actually his best qualifying. It's his second best qualifying there after his P3 in Abu Dhabi. But you can see it there as we've gone through. Vibora for a personal best P11. Casper as well with his second race with us for a personal best P10. So well done to them. Unfortunate for them. Vibora, very sad you invalidated, but very well done for your best qualifying in P0 so far. So well done there. And look at that, Lee. Would it not be the British Grand Prix if it wasn't absolutely hurling it down? So, having a look here.
Very interestingly, through here, obviously the drivers will know more about the weather than we will.
I think everybody's going to start on the intermediate tyre. I'm curious to see what drivers do with their fuel load, but we're going to go through the starting order there. Rob on pole position once again, well clear of the championship at the moment and absolutely on fire. Pace there starts at the front wheel with him in P2. Skarma in P3, Lucalis in P4. Kev there, P5 on the old tyres. Well done to him. And Bosch up to P6, his best start of the season. Second best part of B0. K-Pax in P7, Mika Lando in P8 make up the fourth row. Musty and Casper in P9 and 10 as we start the formation lap here. Vibora on for a personal best P11. Tesco after invalidating at the end at P12. He's got a lot of work to do. Mr. CD in P13. Devereaux in P14 and Baz in P15. Both Williams weren't able to go around and set a representative lap time. So, without DRS, whoever is the lead car is going to be really important here. It is so difficult to overtake in Silverstone in the wet. So, if it rains all the way through, Pace is going to want to be really aggressive lap 1 to get ahead of Rob, knowing that Pace is a very, very good management of his battery. To be honest, Rob is as well. If we go to dry running, I have no idea of predicting how this one works out.
I think you've really hit the nail on the head there. I think Rob is going to be crucial for Rob to get a lot of grip on this start. If he doesn't, then he's very much going to have the Dutchman breathing down his neck into T1 and onwards. Well, honestly, I can't predict how this race is going to go. It's going to very much depend on the weather and track degradation and when that dry line decides to show up.
If it ever does.
If it does.
Now, you very famously had a very, very successful run in Singapore in the wet in a previous P0 season. If you could be in the helmet of these drivers, what advice would you give for a wet race?
My biggest piece of advice would be towards the mid-runners, especially people like Mika, K-Pax, Bosch, Kev, those sort of positions. You've just got to ride it out. Got to keep composed. You've got to let the front runners do them things because they're all going to be fighting for that podium spot from the second those lights go green. I think what they got to do is keep their heads on, keep an eye out on what those runners are doing and how their gaps are developing, and from there, really got to decide whether the overcut or the undercut is the most acceptable option
I think it's a
going through.
long pit lane here in Silverstone, so getting your pit right is absolutely crucial. We're going to have a brilliant view here as Rob is going to be hounded by both VCARs, although I will not be able to see any action that happens behind. So Liam will be able to keep an eye on any movings up and down the grid, but we are going to stay on board with the Aston Martin. Rob has looked impervious this season so far. Can he defend his lead into T1? It's 5 red lights. And we are go in Silverstone. Pace gets a really good start. Off the start, very so slightly bogs down. Pace is going to go side by side with the Aston Martin driver. And Pace is going to lead into T1. Rob is going to try to fight this one. But Pace is going to keep the position all the way. And Rob's under pressure from Scarma. Goes down the inside of T2. Going to be a V-carb. 1-2. Rob goes wide onto the curb. He's going to try and defend it on the inside. Lucal is sneaking up the inside of the V-carb driver. Rob looks like he might have defended his position as Lucas. Oh, there's big contact. Bosch and K-Pax have gone round at the background.
Yeah, I was keeping a very close eye on that. I couldn't quite see exactly who caused the problem. I do very much think K-Pax was a bit of a passenger in that incident, as Bosch veered off and took very much a bit of contact with K-Pax's front wing. I'm not entirely sure. Think there was a third car very much involved as they went 3 breaths down. So
big drama
very
there.
Risky moves.
All the way gone down. We're just looking as Scam has a big snap there. Looking up and down the grid. Musty's made up 4 positions there. Casper up 3 positions. Vibora up to P8 there. He's going to get a nosebleed up there. Tesco moving up a couple of positions, as is CD Devereaux and Baz, with the other drivers falling all the way down as we keep on board. Scama was able to defend his position from Lucas in the end. Rob is going to really try and bite this position back. These are 2 drivers who are almost like chess players with how they manage their battery. So we'll see how those 2 get on and if they're able to pull away. Lucas is ever so slightly pulling a gap on Musty there, who made a pass on Kev at some point. So while the drivers navigate their way, I'm going to check, does Bosch have any wing damage at all? He does not, so he's okay. He's just got to catch up.
Preston so far. I mean, Pash was only able to pull 6/10 on Rob from there. Bearing in mind, Rob was on recharge all the way through Sector 3. So that's going to be a very interesting battle to unfold.
Look at this Tesco.
Luke at the moment.
Have a look at the inside. No, maybe he's going to go for the switchback, is he? Tesco looks like he's going to go around the outside of the Aston Martin. No, he has to wash a little bit wide as he's got Vibora for company up there. As Michelando goes a little bit onto the curb, and these 2 are going to have a great battle. As Tesco going to send it up the inside. He's using his battery. Is he going to go up the inside of Brooklyn's here? It's a good overtake from Tesco. He's made the pass on Michelando. Sorry, Liam, to interrupt.
Absolutely fine. Just keeping an eye on these front 4 at the moment, and there's a lot of tactics going on with this battery management as we stand now.
Look, Tesco's easy going to. Oh, I thought he was going to have the inside of Cops. My goodness, that would have been a Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton moment there for certain, given the difference in speed there. I'm just having a look. Michelando just biting onto the back of him. These drivers are so close through Maggots and Beckett's. The drivers look like it's as you were at the top, which I know you're keeping an eye on, Lee, but I can't keep my eyes off this battle. Yeah, Tesco is right on the back of Vibora with a big snap. Is Tesco going to try and make the pass here? He's having to use whatever battery he can. No DRS for assistance here. Goes down the inside of Stowe, and Tesco moves up to P8. Good recovery after a bad qualifying.
Keep an eye on Mr. CD, mind he is very much keeping in with Mika and getting brought across, especially with Vibora being there. But Vibora has managed to go around the outside and they make contact
Mr.
also.
CD, oh, Mr. CD nearly collecting K-Pax for good measure there. So I think Michelando had an incident with Vibora which got him past in Club Corner. So Mr. CD is fighting with the Haas here, but K-Pax is right on the back of him. He wants to make this back. K-Pax goes down the inside of the Alpine. Is he going to hit the Haas driver? He doesn't, but he does make contact with the Alpine as well, so Mr. CD will not be happy with that, as the Williams are fighting with Bosch there in the background. I think that is Devereaux who's fallen back ever so slightly. A quick check up the top there. Pace has pulled a second on Rob. So Pace is managing it on. Could Pace be on for his first ever win in P0? This would be mightily dramatic, wouldn't it? Oh, I so wish he got his first sprint win at the beginning of this season, as Bosch there is still navigating. He's made his way past Baz, actually, so Bosch has recovered up to P13 past the Williams. Vibora maintaining his gap, defending his gap to Mr. Seedy. These two drivers, you know, I love watching both these two drivers go around there. As K-Pax has actually fallen, no, he hasn't fallen aside from Mr. Seedy. I thought he had, but he has got Bosch for company indeed. Lucalis is looking very close to making a move potentially on Skarma. He's gaining the V-car, but there's nothing doing there as Rob is ever so slightly inching his way closer back to Pace, but we can see the gap starting to form. Tesco actually made the pass on Casper down into Stowe as well. So Tesco is absolutely flying at the moment. And those at the front here might have to start looking behind them. So, Pace with another fast lap. What have you spotted?
Bora is starting to lose and gain. He's very much playing with Mika at the minute. He's on complete recharge, following him down the straight, going into sector 1, but he is also using the battery as well. He's almost like he's trying to recharge and burst very quickly to try and catch Mika off guard. Now, Mika seems quite possibly struggling for a little bit of grip. I'm not too sure, but he did lose quite a bit of time through there, and he's gone very deep, which is going to open up a door a little bit for Vibora if he can capitalize on it.
I will say, Michelando is one of our drivers on the grid who does use no traction control, and he's stuck to that in the wet, so full plaudits to him. I'm keeping an eye on here. Mr. Seedy is just keeping K-Pax at bay there. Obviously, McLaren well into a constructors battle, so he needs to be ahead of Michelando, really, with Lucas being behind Rob as it stands. But Bosch is not going to let this one go up, and he's carrying the Williams as well. So we're starting to see a bit of a separation here of packs of cars. Pace is just extending his gap ever so slightly on Rob, and you've got that battle from second to fourth there. Musty, Kevin, Tesco are kind of in their own, with Casper and No Man's out there, and P8, good for him as well. And then Michelando is reading a train all the way down to P15. Now we score points down to 15th here, so everybody will score points as long as they participate. As K-Pax goes down the inside of Mr. Seedy into Snow, does he make the move stick? Mr. Seedy's going to try and stick it around the outside. K-Pax is still there. He's going to go around the outside of Club. Mr. Seedy looks to defend on the inside. Is K-Pax going to be afforded any room here? Tesco is setting in fastest lap after fastest lap, so is Pace going to be in trouble? We'll see. Mr. Seedy does defend his position from K-Pax there as well. Very well done. Very good driving from all drivers involved here, and Michelando and Vibora are just eking their way further and further away as Mr. Seedy is defending from K-Pax. Is K-Pax going to go around the outside? Oh, they're so close. There's not a lot of grip out there. Bosch is going to be coming in for company here. Is he going to have any grip around the outside as well? K-Pax there.
Tesco's made the move stick on his teammate Kev.
Big stick, big contact there. K-Pax and Seedy actually came together at the same time there. Bosch is potentially going to make a move down the inside of the pair of them. No, Bosch goes down the inside. No, maybe he does. So Mr. Seedy is still there. Bosch with a micro correction, and he's having to lose the position to K-Pax as well. So some brilliant fighting here. And Baz is right on the back of this battle now, as is his teammate. But it's as you were, Mr. Seedy defending from K-Pax. Oh, there's been a contact as Mr. Seedy runs a bit wide. K-Pax is going to go down the inside of Cops, makes the move stick, very authoritative, as Mr. Seedy has a big snap to good measure as well, and loses the position to Bosch as well. Baz is right on his trumpet, but Baz just ekes out of it, knows that it's not his battle. As Mr. Seedy gets a big tank slap and picks up a 3-second time penalty for good measure. He is keeping it pointing in one direction, but he is absolutely wrestling the car at the moment. So, I'm aware Rob and Skarma have caught the gaps, but Lucalis has actually fallen ever so slightly behind as we see Mr. Seedy goes down the inside of Bosch, the Alpine driver. Oh, big contact, and Seedy is round. Mr. Seedy is round after contact with the kick driver there. Unfortunate for him. So, Tesco is setting in fastest lap after fastest lap. He's right on the tail of this Musty here. Swap positions with his teammate. And I tell you
he's
what.
On an absolute mission.
He is absolutely. Musty goes really wide there. Tesco says, thank you very much. Didn't even need to fight it. Tesco up to P5 from P12. Brilliant driving from him. So, is Pace going to be able to lead this train and defend his position? Is rain coming in? We've seen the dry line forming. So, how will this race go on? Is it going to be wet all the way through? We'll have to see. Michelando has actually pulled a gap from Vibora, and Vibora has managed to pull a gap as well. K-Pax is still clear of Bosch, as Mr. Seedy there retires from the session. So, frustration for Mr. Seedy. He's just not had a great day. Unfortunate for him. He was doing pretty well, all things considered. But it just wasn't working out. Skarma, one of the front runners, is the first to pick up a 3-second time penalty. Big for the fight for the podium.
I'm very interested towards the end of this race. I mean, he is struggling. I mean, at this moment in time, it would keep him up in the top 4 as the gaps go, but you're talking Tesco is on an absolute monstrosity of a run at the minute. So Skarma's going to really struggle to keep in that top 5 position with picking up that 3-second time penalty. Now, these top 4, I gotta be honest with you, staying very level-headed, not doing anything too risky with their driving. They're not overly aggressive. Obviously, Skarma picking up that penalty, I didn't quite see whether it was maybe some form of snap or whether it was pushing a little bit too hard. Now, it is starting to develop very nicely at the moment for Pash, but Rob is very much closing a gap to Pash at this moment in time, going from just over 1.3 seconds to being right on his tail so far. He's 5/10 away, pushing through Sector 1. It's going to be very, very close, I think, towards the end of this race, especially considering what their sort of pit strategies are going to be.
I tell you what, in
Skarma's got a lot of battery to use at this moment, as well as they come around.
So does Pace as well. They have not been using their battery at all. So Rob is playing a game of psychology here. He knows what the position is. He knows he needs to be ahead of Pace, but it is a case of who wants to use their battery when. Pace is going to know that Rob is going to be in his mirrors for the whole race. I've been in Pace's position where you're just defending and defending and defending, and it is exhausting. Rob knows that one mistake is all it takes. Rob is burning his battery. Rob is getting that much closer to Pace. Is Pace going to look and try and defend this one? I think Pace has used a bit of his battery to defend, and it's as you were. Rob pulled away from Skarma ever so slightly. Vibora is the next driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty, and Tesco is getting that much closer to Lucalis. He's pulled about a second on this lap alone. Tesco could be moving up from P12 to P1 by the end of this if he continues this pace. Absolutely insane driving from the Mercedes, but he is prone to time penalties. We've seen it happen. So 38.9, the times just keep tumbling.
Time penalties are nowhere to be seen at this moment from Tesco, though. He is pushing to the absolute max and within the limits of the track, which is absolutely incredible, especially in these conditions.
K-Pax looks like he's very close to making a move on Vibora here as they go through T1. He decides to eke out of it. Vibora goes defensive, knows he's carrying a time penalty for good measure. Bosch will also want to be involved in this as well. Bosch maybe having a look around the outside on the McLaren driver. Is he going to go for the switchback? He actually gets to get out of the throttle there as to not run into the back of him. So we'll see. Will there be a change here? Vibora's got a lot of defending to do. He's lost the toe he got from Michelando. K-Pax is that much closer to the Haas driver. He decides not to send it. Bosch does get into the mirrors of the McLaren driver. Takes a lot of curb for good measure. Hopefully he doesn't pick up a penalty for it as well. Vibora goes wide. K-Pax sticks up the inside. Vibora and Bosch going wide there. You can see as soon as the drivers got onto the wet stuff, there was absolutely nothing giving. As this track improves here, as look at this still going side by side, Vibora goes around the outside of Kops. What an overtake to regain the position back on the McLaren driver. Brilliant from the Haas there. But is K-Pax got anything more to give? He's saving his battery. Can he use it? These drivers, we just saw, there were 3 drivers there. As soon as they went a bit wide on the exit of Brooklands, the car was doing absolutely nothing. The tyres are going to start getting warm as they drive on this hot stuff, but there's not a lot of time out there. K-Pax is dumping his battery, goes down the inside of Stowe. Is he going to be able to keep it? Oh, look at that, Vibora with a little bit of contact with Vibora but K-Pax keeps it. And Bosch is going to go around the outside of the Haas driver. A little bit of argy-bargy for good measure. Vibora defends the position from the kick driver. So Bosch has work to do, but look at that. In all that battle, K-Pax has pulled a second already on the Haas driver with their battle. Rob is getting that much closer to pace at the top, as I'm sure you are watching there. Lee, is he going to be close enough to make a move? You can see how powerful the toe is.
He's looking. Again, it's very much been a battle of psychology.
Oh, look at this.
He's going,
Rob
he's looking around the outside.
Is there any grip out there? Pace
he's not gonna have
defends
the
it,
grip there.
but Rob's going to cut back on him. Is he going to have a go down the inside of Cops? What a brilliant chance that would be. So, Pace, is he going to be able to defend? Rob not using his battery here. Is he going to go down the inside of Cops? I think he'd be a fool to do it, and he doesn't. Knows that he should wait to fight another day. As we are, what, a quarter through this race as it stands? And Rob is right on the gearbox of the VCARB driver. He is going to definitely have a go. Bosch makes the pass on Vibora in Brooklyn's there as well. They're going to actually go side by side down to Cops, but I think Bosch might be able to defend that one. But look how close Rob is. Rob goes along the side, and Rob regains his position. Look at that.
While Lucalis is looking up the inside of Skarma and gone
snap.
through. Oh, he's gone.
Lucalis, he's kept it pointing in a straight line. He's followed behind Tesco there. I just caught the wrong angle of it there because I switched to the wrong driver. But Tesco moves up into P4. And look how close he is to that battle. So is Tesco going to be a new factor here? Lucalis trying to go around the outside of Skarma at toe. And as we spoke about, once the track gets wet, there's no grip out there at all. So Pace has led for 9 laps. He's now going to be right back on the tail of Rob, but he does have his teammate Skarma carrying a 3-second time penalty. Big snap from Skarma, keeps it all pointing in the same direction, but he's got a lovely wall to defend from. So let's see how it goes from here. Rob already cooling his tires, maybe trying to break the toe as well as this front 5 make their way through. So
hail of events going on through this race so far. It's unbelievable watch. Lots of battles up and down. The mid from about 6 to 9 has been very, very consistent so far. Nothing massive as Vibora picks up another 3-second time penalty.
At some point he fell behind bars as well. So
yeah.
As we see Pace.
Whether maybe the fighting and the contact is struggling for his tyre wear at this moment is be unsaid. But Tesco obviously closing in on Skarma so far. He's only 7 tenths behind him.
Look at that, Rob going defensive already, using a bit of spray to cool the tyres. Pace is not one to make a brash move. I know he'll be hungry for that move. He was so close to getting it in Canada as well. But it just wasn't doing. So he will wait and see. Rob is not one to pick up time penalties. He's a very tidy driver, Rob, as is Pace. So these two were the ones duking it out in Canada. Will it be the same again today? Almost a third of the way through now. Tesco, is he going to go down the inside of Skarma? I thought he was going to. As Skarma collects a bit of curb, has a bit of a snap. Tesco can have a look for a very audacious move here. Decides against it. As Skarma, look how much he's fighting. Skarma with a big snap. Tesco, as Skarma's fighting with the car all the time, and Tesco moves into the podium positions. Absolutely fantastic drive from him as Vibora's into the pits. Vibora into the pits. Lucalis runs wide there, hopefully not picking up any penalties for good measure. So Tesco is now going to be the one to look. So I don't know, Vibora might have actually replaced his wing as well, depending if he was in contact. We didn't pick it up if he did. My concern, Tesco has
no wing change for Vibora.
Right, so he's on fresh inters. He just wants to run on some fresh rubber. My concern for Tesco here is this. He has been flying from P12 up to P3. It's a really good drive from him, but surely he has absolutely assaulted his tyres getting up this far as well. Is he going to struggle as they run through? Are the drivers going to take the inters to the end? Or are they going to see pit stops for a new pair of intermediates at the halfway mark? Is it going to go dry? I don't know. What I do know is Pace is that much closer to the Aston Martin. He's not using his battery. He's using the toe to happily pull him along. And Pace continues as you were. Rob retaining the lead from pole position after Pace led for about 10 laps or so. Bosch is the next to pick up a 3-second time penalty, as you can see at the top of your screen. But Pace and Rob know that they have Tesco for company as well. The gaps are starting to spread out a little bit up and down the grid. Casper is slowly being reeled in by Mika Lando, so we'll see how that battle gets on. Casper has been a bit lonely in P8 there, hasn't he?
He's been running a very consistent pace, very consistent race. You know, where the pit stops are going to come into this, I'm not sure. I can't really see, especially with how much battling's been going on down the grid, that people are going to take these inters all the way to the end. I can't see them lasting that long. I mean, you've already seen we're only 12 laps in, and drivers are trying to cool their tyres down in that outer edges off the dry line. Vibora picked up another 3-second time penalty. He's really starting to struggle.
The tyres are getting really hot. Silverstone is quite a high deg track anyway, but it's such a slow pit stop here. It's one of the slowest on the calendar. So drivers need to pit at the right time. If you pit onto the inters again and then it's soft tyre running at the end, then you're absolutely screwed. But if you think it's going to be inters to the end, then the sooner you pit, the undercut will be powerful here, as long as it's no DRS.
Locking. Bosch has just smacked wings with Till on the back. Doesn't seem to have picked up too much damage, but there was definitely contact through that corner as he's pushing.
I'm on board
really trying.
I'm just having a look at the top of my screen there. Pace, I thought he was going to maybe make a move on Rob, decides against it. Bosch is going to follow him all the way through here, and Tesco is now right onto the back of this train. So, one to watch. Is Tesco going to make his move? Oh, they've both gone wide there, haven't they? They've gone off the racing line ever so slightly. It'll jeopardize both of them, as Bosch has Baz for company as well. So, Pace is still right onto the back of Rob. This is the battle to watch at the moment, but Tesco is that much closer. Would Pace be well advised to let Tesco go and then try and follow him through? Does he need to defend the position? Does he need to pass Rob as a buffer to Tesco? Who will win this race? I'll tell you what, it won't be Skarma as long as he holds on a 3-second penalty.
Mika has pit, and Casper very strangely picked up a 3-second time penalty through that, and not sure why or what happened there, whether he had a bit of a snap or something, I'm not too sure. It seems a bit strange considering he is very much uncontested in 8th at the moment.
So Mika Lando probably going for the undercut on Casper there, thinks it's going to be intermediates to the end. I'm curious to see if any of these front 3 drivers here will pit now halfway exactly through the race at lap 13. Tesco right onto the back of them as well. Skarma and Lucullus just following that far behind. Skarma carrying his penalty, and Lucullus with a big snap will have absolutely ruined his tyres as well. I'd love to see Lucullus is on board as he went his way through there. Pace just absolutely on the limits of grip there, and you can see this train starting to form here. Tesco getting that much closer to Pace. Pace getting that much closer to Rob, but it's as you were.
It's very much getting very close to Skarma as well at the moment. Close the gap to under 0.3 of a second.
Pace is in. Pace is in the pits. Pace is in the pits for an intermediate tyre. He's gone for the undercut.
Oh,
so
Luke has followed him into the pits.
Yes, drivers think it'll be intermediates to the end, as Pace there inexplicably sets the quickest lap despite being into the pits. Well, we're going to ignore that as Bosch is right under the back of K-Pax. Bosch goes side by side with K-Pax. Is he going to go around the outside of Stowe here, or is he going to go for the cutback? I think he's going for the cutback here as K-Pax defends very well indeed. Kev also went into the pits. They're all both at the pits. So K-Pax is actually going to be held up ever so slightly due to the fact that Lucullus is in the pits ahead of him. So Rob at Tesco stayed out till Pace, excuse me, in the pits. So where will Pace come out? We'll have to see. So I'm very excited to see how this happens. We're going to keep on board here with Tesco and Rob as they go around. Big snap from Tesco. Keeps it pointing in one position. But Rob will make a breathe a sigh of relief there that he won't have the Mercedes breathing down his neck.
I'm out in front of Bosch going through the pit lane at this moment. This is going to be very interesting going around on this pit exit now.
So
both on fresh inters.
That's
Bosch is looking. He's looking.
I'm going to get it on board here. Bosch is... These two drivers have been absolutely Pete and Tong together, haven't they? Mika Lando is that much closer to this battle as well. On the fresh inters, he went for the undercut. Vibora's fallen down to P14 there. I'm just keeping an eye on whether Rob is going to go into pits. Rob stays out, Tesco pits. So, Tesco in the pits. I want to go on board with one pace here as he exits Maggots and Beckett's. Skarma in the pits as well. Yes, as you saw, as Vibora makes the pass on Michelando and Brooklands. Would love to see that. So, I'm going to stay on board with pace here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go on board with Tesco. It was who went into the pits, wasn't it? So, is Tesco going to come out ahead of Pace? Pace rounding the final couple of corners now. Pace, you can see at the absolute very, very top of your picture going down the pit straight as Tesco is waiting an agonizingly long time. Pace will run forth and come out a few seconds ahead of Tesco, and Lugalis there has undercut. No, he hasn't undercut, excuse me. He's still ahead of Skarma, as I think he was at the beginning, but he's going to be that much closer to Tesco. So Pace has pulled 4 seconds on Tesco there, so Tesco will have a bit of clean air to try and claw that back. So, big drama here, Lugalis.
An eye on is Rob at the moment. He's 19 seconds ahead of Pash, but when is he going to pull the trigger to pit? He's got to go for the overcut now.
Michelando pits again. Michelando's on the medium tyres, excuse me. Michelando there, accidentally putting on the soft tyres, so that's heartbreak for the Aston Martin driver. So, unfortunate for him, he will have a lot of work to do. He'll still score points as it stands. Bosch did actually get past K-Pax at some point. I missed how it happened. Baz obviously is very close to them as well. So I'm curious to see how that gap between Pace and Tesco maintains. Rob has actually kept his gap pretty well, as Rob is in the pits now. So Rob wants the freshest pair of intermediates, but I suspect he's still going to come out behind Pace as it stands. Pace, that second's just dropped under 4 seconds now. So Pace and Tesco could potentially be within a big chance of a win here. I think Rob actually might come up behind Skarma. As it stands, he's waited a long time to pull that trigger. So Tesco with the 3 seconds. Big drama in the chance for the race win here. Tesco's picked up a 3-second time penalty. I told you, he's got a knack for it. And that'll be music to Pace's ears. Pace will round the pit straight now, and Pace is back in the lead of this race. I'm keeping on board with Skarma because I'm curious to see, is he going to come out ahead of Rob? As you see at the top of your picture, Rob actually came out ahead there. Oh, side by side with Tesco. Tesco goes around the outside of him. Rob did very well on his in-lap there. He's got ever so slightly fresher intermediates. He's come out just behind Tesco. He's on the fresher tyres. He needs some heat into it, but Tesco's carrying a penalty as Pace extends his gap. Oh, I don't want to say it. I don't want to be the commentator's curse, but Pace is in an absolutely brilliant position. K-Pax picks up a 3-second time penalty, as does Bosch. So, recap after the... I think everybody's done their pit stop now. They have indeed. Michelando on the wet tyres there. I think he's just trying to experiment. So I'm watching Rob here as he gets behind Tesco as they put their way towards Cops. How is Rob going to be able to follow him through Mags and Beckett? Skarma obviously very close to Lugalis as well. So we'll see how that gets on.
Keep an eye on here. Kev is currently running. He's gaining on Musty at this moment in time. Not massively, but enough to put him in contention to possibly have a striking distance very, very soon.
I tell you what there, Lee, Tesco pulled half a second on Pace through Maggots and Beckett's there. So he's inadvertently going to pull Rob right up into the fight for this lead if he continues to chip that gap down. But for as long as Tesco is in between Rob and Pace, that's another car that Pace has to pass. Unless Pace picks up a 3-second time penalty. Could you imagine that? Heartbreak for him. As Tesco once again.
That's another unbelievable drive for him at the moment. He's gained 10 positions so far. He's on the podium spot as well after a very disappointing qualifying for himself.
Oh, he's not indeed. He'll lose it to Lugalis as it stands. Remember, he's getting a 3-second time penalty.
But if he keeps the pace he's on at the minute, I can very much see him. I mean, he's just gained another 4 tenths on Pash in this lap. As we've been speaking, it's his pace on this track in these conditions is just something to desire at this moment in time. Okay. Skarma is pushing on Luke as well at the moment.
I tell you what, though, I think Pace is in full battery conservation mode. Knows there isn't much point trying to extend his gap and burning his tyres here. He just needs to be able to defend, not from Tesco, from Rob. That's the key thing here. And Pace to, not pick up a time penalty. Tesco could be pushing the limits that much further. Looking back in the background. Oh, background there. Excuse me. Devereaux very close to the back of Vibora. Is he going to go for the switch back there? As Vibora runs a little bit wide. Devereaux, is he maybe going to pick up the inside? I think he lets it go. He's going to use a bit of the curve there. Both drivers carrying time penalties. Vibora does well to defend on the battery, and Devereaux has a little bit more work to do for P12 as it sounds. Baz still attaching himself to the back of K-Pax. Kevin's that much closer to Musty, as you were keeping an eye on as well. Skarma also battling with Lucullus, but knows that he's carrying the time penalty. So we'll have to see how that one works itself out. Tesco just creeping that much closer to pace. Devereaux, is he going to go side by side? No, he decides against going through it through Cops. As I keep back on board with him there, Vibora is just going to lead them through Maggots and Beckett's as we take all of this off here. Loving to see how these two drivers work. Vibora,
A little bit more interesting at this moment. Bosch has managed to pull quite a gap to K-Pax at the moment, but K-Pax is having to defend from Baz in that Williams at the minute, who is very much closing in on K-Pax. Not sure where Baz has exactly come from in this situation, but he is very much pushing K-Pax at the moment. Very much going to have to defend.
Unfortunately, though, Baz is carrying a 13-second time penalty. I don't know if you spotted it, but he got a 10-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane, which we applied to his race time at the end. Very unfortunate for him. Kev is getting just that little bit closer to Musty by the looks of it as they pick their way up towards Cops. I'm just having a look. Pace is maintaining his gap as it stands. Rob has actually fallen ever so slightly out of range of Tesco, probably trying to recharge his battery. So Kev here will be trying to fit for P6.
But Tesco did take another 3/10 out of Pash in that last lap.
He did, but Pace knows that it doesn't matter. He doesn't have a 2.6 second gap to pull in. It's a 5.6 second gap. Rob is going to be the key one to look out for there. So we'll see how that goes. I think it could very well be intermediates to the end. The rain does not look like it's going to let up any time soon. I think Devereaux might be close to making a move on Vibora. He's very close to the back of Vibora coming out of Brooklands here as Rob is the first one to set. Other than Tesco set the fastest lap, Devereaux does not look up the inside of Cops. Both drivers.
Oh. Skarma was thinking about a move then on Luke Alas, but he decided to back out of it last minute. Of course, he knows he's got a 3-second time penalty himself, so he would have to get this move done very soon and rocket on into the distance afterwards.
Rob is past Tesco's. Tesco's had a snap coming on to the hangar straight there, and Tesco has fallen behind Rob as it stands. So big drama there. I think Tesco probably had a snap of oversteer. I went on board with it as Rob there seemed to just be passing him. I think he was having a lot of issues. So Pace has got to look in his mirrors for one Rob Wills now. So we'll see how that one goes as well.
Right into contention for a podium spot as well, as he is less than 3 seconds behind Tesco as it stands.
Oh, very exciting. So we'll see if they can pull that gap. Devereaux and Vibora are still fighting it out here. These two have been within half a second of each other for, it seems like, a fair few laps now. I'm curious to see if Tesco will fight back on Rob here, which would be beautiful for Pace, of course. Pace actually increases his gap ever so slightly there. Devereaux is getting that much closer to Vibora, but not close enough. That Haas is quick in a straight line, I'll tell you that. Oh, God, I thought he was going to go into the back of it there. Goodness me, these two. Devereaux, is he going to look up the inside of Brooklands? Is he going to look for the switchback? Vibora is just going to say, close the door, thank you very much. As Devereaux looks to go around the outside of him here, they barrel down to Cops. Vibora is all over the wet bits of the track. Devereaux is right into the slipstream. Is the Williams going to go inside of Cops? He's going to wait for a go after Maggots and Beckett's. This is the battle to watch at the moment. Tesco's fallen ever so slightly behind Rob, and Rob is eking his way back up to Pace, but he's running out of time. As it stands, Pace has just been sitting happily recharging his battery. So will Rob have a last run on Pace at the end? But Devereaux has got a brilliant run on the Haas driver here. The Haas, look how quick he is in a straight line. There's nothing Devereaux can do. And we've seen this in the wet here. Without DRS, the difference in car setups is that much more important. So, as he knows, Devereaux's going to go down the inside of Club here, is he? No, he yaks out of it. Devereaux knows he has carrying less penalties than Vibora, so he doesn't need to do anything silly. Looking up, Kev is still on the back of Musty. These two are kind of in no man's land there, aren't they? I'm curious to see if Bosch catches up to Casper, actually. Casper's quietly driven a very good race here, up to P8 from his qualifying, so very well done to him. I tell you what, Bosch is getting closer to that Ferrari, so will Bosch be in for P9?
It must have happened, because he's just gained 7/10 on Casper.
I did see Casper took a bit of grass, it looked like, on the straight. I also just saw Musty go very wide.
And he's picked it up
2
seconds.
Oh, that's big then for Bosch. Bosch will be very happy with that indeed, but it'll keep Casper ahead of K-Pax as it stands. Musty has gone very wide on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's. Kev is going to be very close to making a move here. Kev...
He's got the battery to do it.
Oh, I don't know if he's got the battery. He's got the toe. Is he going to absolutely send one up on the inside of Stowe?
Oh, he's sinking. He's sinking.
Against it. Knows he's going to fight another day. But with Musty all over the track as he is, Kev could very well think that he might be able to get the move done on a time penalty alone. Baz is very close to the back of K-Pax through Maggots and Beckett's. Big snap from K-Pax as those tyres are really starting to struggle. Vicora and Devo did swap positions very briefly, but it stays as it is. Baz there, is he going to look on the inside as K-Pax goes defensive? Is he going to go for the switchback? The Williams driver here knows he's carrying a lot of penalties. K-Pax with a bit of a snap. Baz there is nothing doing. So we'll keep an eye on how that battle carries on. Looking up at the top here, Skarma is still...
Yes. Skarma's very much close to Luke, but I'm very much keeping an eye on Luke, only on the fact of that time difference between him and Tesco. Obviously, Tesco having a 3-second time penalty, and Luke very much filtering on the edge of that 3 seconds, dropping just below and just above.
Yellow flag, and it's Kev. Kev is off. Kev is off. Something's happened there. He's either had a moment or a collision with Musty. He will maintain his position in P7. Is he picking up? He's got no wing damage, so he won't lose any spaces to Casper there. But Kev tried something on Musty. Potentially, did he snap? I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe on the replay. Sorry to cut you off there, Lee.
No, you're fine. I'm very much keeping an eye on things. Skarma obviously pushing. Vibora picks up another time penalty. Very unfortunate race for him so far. Luke is very much losing a lot of time to Tesco now. Whether that's the fact that Tesco is very much pushing, but it doesn't look so, as his time is not gaining on Rob at all. And I'm wondering whether Luke is just trying to defend a little bit of Skarma. It has been putting him under a lot of pressure for the last 4 or 5 laps. But it's going to be very close towards the end of this race, Elliot. I gotta be honest with you, especially with time penalties coming into play at this moment in time. Luke pulling down from 3.5 to 3.2 to under 3 seconds.
Right, so Big Tesco, another driver who I believe does not use any traction control, is really going to start feeling the limits of his tyres as things carry on. Rob is just eking under 2 seconds from pace with just a few laps left to go. Rob does have a bit of a mountain to climb to pull that time back and then pass the VCARB driver there. But is the pressure going to get to pace? We know he's a bit of a Heidfeld here, or a bit of a Hulkenberg, if you will. He just has not been able to get that race win. He's been so close so many times, and he's only got a few more laps to do it as Kev has another incident. His tyres are absolutely cooked. So, Bosch just eking on the back of Casper, but obviously Casper's kind of penalties. What were you going to say, Lee?
Just looking at that time now, I spotted that Bosch has gained a lot of time on Casper at the minute. Obviously, time penalties into effect, but he is gaining a lot, and I'm sure he would love, just for an act of pride, to get past Casper through this.
Yeah, big snap from Casper coming out of cops there. Tesco has actually fallen just a ways back from Rob there, so Lucalis is still just trying to keep within that 3 seconds, but this is going to be the one to watch. It's just 3 and a bit more laps. Rob getting that much closer as Bosch does make the pass on Casper, going down out of Maggots and Beckett's into Stowe. So up to P8, and it will stay there unless he can pick up another time penalty and fall behind Casper as it stands. So good drive from the kick driver on his first race back in a while. But this is, like I said, the one to watch. Casper, is he going to look at the inside of club? I thought he was right before we switched off it. So, and K-Pax will obviously inherit that position from Casper as it stands as well. He's managed to shake the tail of Baz there. But pace there, 1.5 seconds from Rob. Tesco falling ever so further backwards. Skarma very close to the back of Lucas, but I don't think Skarma's going to try and make a move. If you look at it, he's, 17 seconds ahead of Musty there, so his penalty doesn't matter, and he wouldn't gain anything from passing Lucas unless Lucas also got a penalty. So Skarma, I think, is just going to stick behind Lucas and take his P5 for the Constructor Battles. VCAP are right up there, especially if they finish this race. It'd be a brilliant finish for VCAP here, a 1 in 5. As it says, big snap from Skarma.
One very big thing to note as we come into the close of this race is I do believe Casper is getting under that threshold on fuel. Now, whether he's going to have to go into some form of fuel management going into the end of this race and actually concede his position, but K-Pax is now under 2 seconds away from overtaking Casper at this moment as well. He has gained some time to Baz. He is keeping Baz at bay, but of course 2 laps, just over 2 laps left, and K-Pax is closing in on Casper, which
so that's the
again
battle to
would
watch.
be.
But yes, very well spotted that Casper on his dash, if it's to be believed, is really going to run out of fuel, probably at Maggots and Beckett's, as Vibora picks up another 3-second time penalty, just having a whale of a time, but will still finish ahead of Michelando as it stands. He's out there on the wets. Michelando probably having an absolute whale of a time wherever he is. I think he's actually about to be lapped by Pace as it stands. So yeah, Michelando, you can see at the top of your picture there, just getting out of the way of
Flag
Pace and
from
teammates.
something.
I tell you what, Rob actually
Casper's
just
picked up another penalty, which means K-Pax will, I believe, jump his position as it stands,
of course.
if
Yeah,
I'm to be
100%.
correct.
So, Rob actually scythed a load of time.
And Skarma picks up another one.
Another 6 seconds. So Devereaux with another 6 seconds as well. Time penalties galore here. Rob is that much closer to Pace. Now, in passing the lapped car there, Pace lost a bit of time. So obviously no DRS, so Pace needs to consider that as we enter 2 more laps. Rob was the stealer of hopes after taking 2 people away from potential first ever pole positions last weekend in Austria. He's now under a second away from Pace as we enter the last 2 laps. What will Rob do? Can he make the pass on the VCAP to extend his lead at the top of the championship, or will Pace finally break his curse? We've got just a couple more corners and about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to find out. My goodness. So you see Tesco in the background there. Lucas still within the 3 seconds, so Lucas will be on the podium as it stands. Musty there with the 3 seconds. Obviously won't matter with the gap between him and Kev as they make their way around Brooklands. K-Pax does make the pass on Casper. The drivers are actually going side by side there a little bit. Look at that. Casper defends the position from Casper going into the club, so K-Pax tried to go around the outside of him in Cops, I believe. Not Cops, excuse me, Stowe, by the looks of it, but Casper knows that he's holding the time penalties, which is the problem. I'm going right back at the top here. Look how close Rob is. It's half a second.
Rob is gaining. Now, one nice little fun fact for everybody who's watching now, having raced in this league a couple of times. Luke is very much known for keeping his nose very clean through races, and as a result, gaining a lot of positions and a lot of points from keeping such a clean and consistent drive, and he's doing so again today. No time penalties whatsoever, no contact, no issues, very consistent, very calm and collected race, and this again could actually gain him a podium if he can break that 3 seconds. Now, he has lost a little bit and just had this very small snap going through sector 3 there, but he's now gained under 3 seconds yet again. Could bring himself into podium.
This is the one to watch, though, as we start the final lap. Pace leads from Rob. There's less than half a second between them. Pace, as it stands, has more battery on his car available than Rob does. You see both drivers just really fighting with the car there. The tyres at the absolute limit of grip. Is Rob going to get a better run onto the middle straight here? Not a lot of chance for an overtake here. Rob knows the best chance will be surely into Maggots and Beckett's. He's very close to the back of him now as they navigate navigate their way through Brooklands. Pace needs a really good exit out of Brooklands here because he knows Rob is right on the back of him here. I tell you what, both drivers with a little bit of a kick. Rob is going to be very close to him. I'd be interested to see if Rob makes a move into Cops. Look how close the Aston Martin is. Knows the smart decision would be to leave at P2 rather than do a Hail Mary. Knowing where he is in the championship as Pace runs through Magnus and Beckett. Now, is the dirty air going to be a contributing factor here? Is he going to have enough battery to defend his way through? I'm just going to keep this on to see if either driver picks up a time penalty. Pace with a little bit wide, puts him massively under pressure from Rob. Rob goes side by side with the VCAB driver. They're both using whatever battery they have left. Rob is going to pinch him at the inside here, VCAB. And Pace is going to defend at the inside. There's a bit of contact. Rob rounds the stow on the last sector of the last lap, and the curse continues for Pace. Rob will round the final few corners here. Rob, impervious from pole position at the very death. Rob wins the Silverstone Grand Prix. Pace comes home, a heartbreaking P2. Tesco there with a massive push at the end secures him a podium. Lucas will come home P4, Skarma there in P5, and a long way back. Musty will see us out for P6 as he approaches club, and I think there is going to be some words given there, a little bit of contact.
I don't know what happened to Lucas on that last lap, but he was on that 3 second, just filtering in between. And as coming into sector 3, he dropped from about 2.9 to about 3.7. So I don't know whether he was pushing a little bit too hard to try and gain that little bit of extra time. But whatever happened certainly cost him that podium in the end.
So Kev comes home there in P7. Casper there, I don't know if you caught it at the bottom of your screen, unfortunately did run out of fuel. He is just crawling his way around. Heartbreaker for him. Bosch comes home P8. Very well done to him. K-Pax in P9. Baz there in P10 serving his penalty. Will come home ahead of Casper, who finishes P11, who I actually think will lose that position to Devro because of a 10-second time penalty when he ran out. Michelando does take flag in P14. He will score points there. Devro does jump Casper to P12, and Vibora will round us out for P13 as it stands. So, my goodness. Well, driver of the day, for sure. I think you might agree with me on this one here, Liam, excuse me. I think there's only one driver it can be. Tesco from P12 to P3.
100%.
Brilliant drive from the Mercedes driver. Very well done from him. Recovered from an invalidation in quali. And yeah, tyres were just absolutely cooked at the end there. The game giving it away as well. But Rob is 100%. Your race winner. Won the sprint. No, excuse me. Did he win the sprint race? I can't remember. No, he didn't. Lucas won the sprint race. Excuse me. Rob won the feature race in Austria and extends his lead to the top of the championship table.
I'll be very interested in seeing what these top 3 drivers have at the end to stay. Now, Tesco, I'd love to speak to just purely on the fact of what a drive. What an absolute monster of a drive. You know, picking up 9 positions, still closing out the podium, even with a 3-second time penalty. Unfortunate for Lucas himself. But I think everybody wants to know what Pash and Rob have to say after that final lap.
Oh, it'll be one for potentially for the steward's room. We'll have to see. But I'm going to say thank you very much to Liam for joining me in the co-commentary. Much appreciate having you here. Very good on commentary. So if you would like to say your goodbyes before I round us off.
Absolutely, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope to do it again. It was a fantastic race to experience. And see what the next race weekend brings.
For certain, right. I'm going to deafen from Liam there and say thank you all so much for watching a brilliant race, brilliant qualifying, and very dramatic. We love a bit of drama, don't we? Don't we love a bit of drama? So, well done indeed. I'll see you all back for the next race weekend here in Albert Park in Australia. So, very excited to see how that one goes. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all very soon. Take care.